Hi everyone, Miss Cassandra here. We are going to go over our last lesson that we're going to be covering in IEW this year. It's lesson 29 in your book, so I'd like you to go ahead and please put this video on pause while you open up to lesson 29, which is on page 239, and I'm going to be going over that with you. We started our formal critique 2 weeks ago. I haven't really seen anything yet from you guys. I am available to look at papers, so please send them off. I've gotten a few. I do want to go over some aspects of the formal critique that I introduced 2 weeks ago. We have to remember this is not a summary of the information that was given to you. You are critiquing the information. And in the lesson from last week, we went over in detail how to do that, the types of questions to ask. You don't want to retell the story. You don't want to give away the ending. You're basically, it's kind of like a book report, but you're critiquing it more to the point of drawing out what impacted you about the piece, what you got out of it without giving it all away. You want to kind of encourage people to want to read your paper, but be hungry to actually go read the thing that you're writing about. Okay, so that's how it's different than a book report. You're not summarizing everything, you're critiquing it, you're giving your opinions, you're talking about how it changed you, what was most important, why does it matter? Okay, so I want you to really go back, re-look at my video, re-look at the lesson, and challenge yourself to do the critique. You're probably all done with your IEW papers by now. So it would be really great if we could end the year strong and everyone could hand me a critique, okay? Lesson 29, we're just going to be adding an introduction and a conclusion to the critique, okay? Again, it's on this piece, Genghis Khan and his hawk. We were given all of the information, the reading last week. The piece is on page 236 in your guides. That's what you're critiquing, that actual piece of literature, okay? So in lesson 28, you wrote the body paragraphs of the critique, you should have. And in this lesson, you're going to finish the critique by adding a conclusion and an introduction. We always do the conclusion first and the introduction last, okay? With the teachers, see pages 235 to review the structure of a critique. So I'd like all of you to please go back to page 235 and the structure of a critique, the critique model is listed here. I'm going to actually go ahead and read that to you. In this new unit, you'll be combining the skills of 2 previous units. You've learned the elements of a well-written story, the story sequence chart. You've learned to write conclusion and introduction paragraphs for essays. In this unit, you're going to use these skills to help you write critiques of literature. When you critique a story, you do not retell it in its entirety. Instead, you explain the most important aspects of the story based on the story sequence chart. Just enough so your reader can follow your discussion of your opinion. This is an opinion piece. This will create a brief summary of the story with the setting, characters, conflict, climax, and resolution clearly identified. Those words, setting, the word characters, the word conflict, the word climax, and the word resolution should be used in your critique. This is kind of more of a scholarly paper. You're going to say this setting is, the characters are. And I think in our, I showed you last week in the student resource guide, there were so many synonyms to those words that you can use in your paper. So go back and look at last week's video so that you can know better what to do, because I actually went to the student resource packet. I downloaded a lot of visuals for you to look at, but you guys all have the packet, so you don't need me to email them to you. You can look in your own student resource packet for that, okay? Then you add a concluding paragraph in which you give your opinion about the different aspects of the story. You tell what you like or don't like. Finally, you add an introduction paragraph to the beginning that gives some background information about the story and the author. And that might require that you do a little research about, the character described in the story. I don't know if they gave an author to this. I don't think so. They just talk about Genghis Khan, but maybe you can give some information about that, okay? The Unit 9 body paragraph follow the story sequence chart. So it's going to follow the chart, but you're not doing just a story. You're doing a critique, but you're following the story sequence chart. The model is going to be First paragraph, introduction. Second paragraph, you're going to talk about the setting and the characters. Third paragraph, you're talking about the conflict or the problem. The fourth paragraph, you're going to discuss the climax and the resolution. And the final paragraph is going to be your conclusion. Okay? So I'm going to skip now over to back to page 239 in your guide. So go back over there. We're going to discuss what you like and don't like about the story. This is going to help you with your conclusion. So guys, you need to talk to your parents. Think about the story. How did it make you feel? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Okay? On your own paper, write down some ideas without using I or my. Okay? So you're going to discuss those ideas without using an I or my. Okay? But really think about, reread the story this week, and you're thinking about how it makes you feel morally. What do you think about it in the context of history at that time? How does it make you feel in the context of your history today? How does it make you feel? Using the blank outline on page 242, go over to 242 now. There's a blank keyword outline. It's going to help you to write a keyword outline for the conclusion. Okay? After you're done with the conclusion, on page 243 is a sample or to help you write the keyword outline for the introduction. Okay? All right. On day 2, you're going to use your keyword outline to write the conclusion paragraph of your critique. Follow the checklist. Make sure everything's in there that's on the checklist. Day 3, you're going to use your keyword outline to write the introduction paragraph. Again, you're going to follow the checklist. Have your mom or dad or grandma, whoever's edits for you, edit your papers. Do not reuse the same vocabulary more than once in your paper. Do not reuse the same words, describing words more than once. Don't reuse the same ly adverbs more than once. Use different ly adverbs if you need to use them, but don't use the same ones. You're not allowed to use vocabulary words more than once per word in a paper. So I don't want to see the word opulent used 5 times. You know what I'm saying? Okay? Use it once. All right. Day 4 is you're going to type or write your final draft, making your editing corrections that your editor asked you to make. And all of this is on page 239 of the guide, okay? Now I'm going to turn the page to 240. Vocabulary. Mom, dad, grandma, teacher should be giving a final vocabulary quiz this week with all of the vocabulary words. Quizlet may have something with every single word, but you should be tested on every single word this week. You guys have accomplished so much. It's amazing the words you now probably are using in your everyday language. I'm really proud of all of you. So let's see what we've got here. In the body paragraphs, I'm on page 240, the ones that you wrote last week, or if you didn't read them last week, you're gonna have to write the whole essay this week. It's okay. But read the sentences in which you refer to the setting, the character, the conflict, and the climax and resolution using words found in the Critique Thesaurus in Appendix 3. So in this book, if you go to Appendix 3, which is on page, I'm going to find it for you, I'm sorry, 265. We'll turn to that page right now with me. It's called a Critique Thesaurus. So I'm waiting for you to turn there. Okay. In this Critique Thesaurus are words that need to be in your critique. I showed you this last week. I want you to look at that. So in your introduction, you should use words that describe a story, but don't use the word story. Use saga, tale, blah, 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 blah. Okay? You should use words that talk about type because you're talking about the type of story it is, and they give really good words that you could use. In your first paragraph, which is going to be about the characters, all kinds of words that you can use in your critique. Second paragraph is about setting. Again, these are the types of words that should be used in your critique. This is a critique. You're critiquing something. You're giving your feedback on something, okay? You're retelling it, but not retelling it like a book report. You're acting like you're a grand professor analyzing a piece of literature, okay? Third paragraph, conflict. Those are things that you should be using, words. And for the final paragraph, the conclusion paragraph, these are the types of words. Did this piece use foreshadowing? Did it use symbolism? This is what a critique is. You're critiquing, you're analyzing a piece of literature. Okay? All right. So, new structure, conclusion, and introduction. I'm reading on page 240, last section. The conclusion is where you must critique or analyze. You must tell what you like or dislike about the story and why. Remember that you may not say anything like I think or in my opinion. For example, if you say it's a suspenseful story with plenty of thrilling action, your readers will know your opinion, but it will sound much more convincing than I think this is a good story. That's kind of boring, but the other sentence sounded better. Use the following pages to discuss and outline a conclusion and introduction for your critique of Genghis Khan and his hawk. Now I'm on page 241. The conclusion. In the conclusion, discuss what you like or dislike about the story and why. This will require you to consider each aspect of the story to determine what you like and what you don't like, because there may be things that you like about certain parts of the story and what you don't like about some parts of the story. That's what you need to have in this paper. Okay, you don't have to like the whole thing, or maybe you do like the whole thing, or maybe you really don't like the whole thing at all. It's really a critique with your opinion. The following questions will help. So I'm going to read you these questions. It's all in your book, but sometimes it helps when we read it together out loud. What did you think of the story overall? Overall, how did it make you feel when you walked away from reading this? Did you feel icky? Did you feel great? Did it make you hopeful? Did it make you sad? Did it disturb you? Those are the types of things to ask. What one word could be used to describe it? Begin your conclusion with a general statement that reveals your overall impression or opinion of the story. So, for example, I could write something like, Genghis Khan and his hawk was a disturbing story for the following reasons. And, you could talk about that. Begin your conclusion. Okay. Do not use vague adjectives like good, bad, interesting, wonderful. I use the word disturbing. There are many better adjectives that you can use. Think of words like suspenseful, predictable, engrossing, boring, tragic, heart-wrenching, powerful, thought-provoking, inspiring, captivating. Those are the kinds of words you should be using. Okay, we're talking about the conclusion now. Do not say I or my. Here is a template that may help. So I'm at the second bullet point on page 241, under conclusion. Genghis Khan and his hawk is a blank story that blanks. Okay? So you fill that in. I'll give you an example. Genghis Khan and his hawk is a tragic story that teaches a powerful message. It's a really good example that they gave. Okay, so these are the types of things we want to see in your conclusion, and then you're going to support that. Then support your opinion by discussing some of the following. Is the style enjoyable? Does the author create vivid images? Give examples from the story. So if you're saying the image is vivid, give an example, okay? Such as blah, 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 when this happened. What is the best part or aspect of the story and why? What is the worst part or aspect and why? Think about characters. Were they appealing or realistic? Were they just impossible characters that they could never really exist in real life? Or could you relate to them? Why or why not? Does the story have much action or adventure? Where? Was the conflict exciting? Why or why not? Does the story have a suspense or mystery? Where? Did it intrigue you? Did it make you want to know more about Genghis Khan? Why? Why is the hawk's death so tragic? How will it affect readers? Was the climax, finding the serpent in the water, a surprise or was it predictable? Were you surprised? I certainly was. Maybe some of you already knew that that was going to happen. What emotions will the reader feel at this point of the story? Are you happy with the resolution? Why or why not? Was it necessary for the hawk to die? Would the message be as powerful if the hawk had only been injured? What are the messages of the story? In other words, what does it teach us? What do you think about the messages? And do you agree with them? The final sentence of the critique must repeat 1 to 3 words from the title. Okay? Hoping this helps you for the conclusion. And then on page 242, there is a keyword outline, just a blank page there that you can fill in or make a photocopy of with more helpful information. There's a lot here to help you. Now let's move on. Introduction, because you have to do both this week. The critique introduction differs from the introductions you've written in previous lessons. It's different. It begins similarly with an attention getter, but then it should contain basic information specific to the story. You should say the title of the story, the type of the story, the background of the story, the author and his or her literary time, publisher, and the date of publication. Okay? So that's your the structure for your introduction. Okay? So they have a sample here in the teacher guide. There's a really good example of an introduction. You may not be allowed to copy that, but certainly look at it to give you some information, because it does have the title and the author. It's retold by Vestergaard. It may not, I think that was written there. I'm going to go back and look. I remember finding a little bit of a hard time finding that information, but they actually do have it. There goes my binder again. That's okay. Yeah. They don't have the author here. So what you're going to do is take that information from the teacher guide. It's published by IEW in 2018. That should be in your introduction. What type of tale it is, okay? And some background information, okay? All right. The background help is right here. For Genghis Khan and his hawk, there's several options for background information. You could give some facts about Genghis Khan, since he is a real figure in history. The story tells that he was a ruthless warrior and a king who ruled Mongolia in the 1200s. You could tell what happens in the story before the conflict develops. The conflict is that Khan needs water, so the background to this is that the start of the story, the Khan is on a hunting trip with his hawk and wanders out of the shade of the forest. You could also instead give a hint that Khan will learn a valuable lesson through the tragic mistake he makes on a hunting trip. Okay? All right, and then there is your checklist. Make sure that that gets handed in with your paper. All right, guys, I hope this helps you. Critiques are absolutely upper level. I am really amazed that they're teaching this, and I'm so happy they're teaching it, and I'm happy you're getting a chance to do a critique on a very short piece. But definitely don't give up on it, and do it, because it's an awesome skill to have. Being able to do a formal critique for the future. You're going to need to be doing that in upper levels of schooling. Okay, God bless you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Maybe over the summer we'll do something with our community. All right, bye-bye.